Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports Talk, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And today, we'll be going into a trade deadline video and, possible candidates that we feel like, could be valuable if added to our team, and also people that we feel like, would be added to our team. So, to start out, I have a, list of big names that could be dealt. And, to start off, obviously, we have people like Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry. But we also have a couple receivers like Marquise Brown, Jerry Jeudy, which I've heard a lot of trade buzz around. We have Cortland Sutton, Darnell Mooney, Adam Thielen, Hunter Renfrow. We also have Zach Ertz from the Cardinals who are about to play. We have Trent Brown from the Patriots from the O line.
Yeah, and just to clarify, this is guys. We're not listing people right now that we want. It's just players that we think are on the trade block,
Yeah, on the trade block.
or this website thinks they're on the trade block.
Yeah, and we have Daniil Hunter, Montez Sweat, Chase Young, Carl Lawson, Leonard Williams, Josie Jewell, Jordan Hicks, Jalen Johnson, Justin Simmons, Harrison Smith, Kyle Duggar, and Jeremy Chin. So that's just a few big names that could be dealt. And out of those names, which names stand out to you?
I wish you would have freaking sent me this link so I can remember. But you know, I think you mentioned it was Derrick Henry on that list.
Yep.
All right, so that's a big one. Because when I was looking at our stats earlier, Lamar was still our leading rusher. So maybe if we had a primary back, it'd make you feel a little bit better. I don't know if Saquon was on there, but I mean they just had a big win versus versus the Commanders, so I don't know if they're willing to do that. If Daniil Hunter's on that list, then that's another one that we could think of. Brian Burns might be another one from the Panthers. But the Panthers might want a first round pick because they don't have one. So if we do get Burns, we might have to give up that first. Now, would I? Heck yeah. Would they? Probably not. So, same thing with Hunter. With the Vikings had just won today versus the 49ers. We're filming this on a Monday. And I'm not entirely sure if they're going to be willing to give up if they still feel like they can contend this year, which is very possible. Their schedule is kind of easy not the rest of the way, but the next few weeks, so they can definitely put themselves over a 500 position. So pass rushers we can look at the moment, it's like it is Hunter, but they may not, or Brian Burns. But I guess give me your take, on that. Is there any defensive backs on there that are stick out to you like cornerbacks or whatever?
Well, there's a cornerback from the Bears named Jalen Johnson. I feel like that is one of the more, tangible players that we could get. We probably wouldn't give up too much for him. He'll be a great piece, for the depth of our secondary, which is thin this year. There's also Kyle Duggar and Jeremy Chin. They're safeties though, but still good, depth pieces. But the dream players out of this list that I really like, I agree with you with Derrick Henry. It'll be crazy to have him and Lamar on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Brian Burns and Daniil Hunter. I feel like out of those two, Daniil Hunter is definitely the more probably tangible one, probably easier one to get. But I feel like I'll include Jalen. I feel like those four players right there are definitely ones that I could see us going after.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because we usually say a wide receiver, but I feel like our receivers, are pretty good so far. I hope I'm not seeing us saying this and then they have a horrible game, but I feel like we're pretty good in that position so far.
Right. I know there was rumors of even what's his name? Not DeAndre Hopkins. Devontae Adams not being happy with his role.
Yeah.
And for the Raiders, I mean, I would be too if Jimmy Garoppolo was my quarterback. And then if I had to go from Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo, I'd probably want to retire. So I don't blame him. Imagine going from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr to Jimmy Garoppolo.
I mean, that was kind
Like,
of his fault. He wanted to trade, yeah, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
but like, how has that really worked out? Those like buddies, from college, like coming out, like think about like Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown. Like it just hasn't really worked out a lot. Can you think of more? Do you know any more?
Like college buddies. Well, I
There's not
was
really a
I
lot of
was
big.
gonna say Burrow, but they're not on the same team, so I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, Burrow and Chase, but that worked out.
Oh yeah, Burrow and Chase.
But
That
that
worked.
was the draft pick. That wasn't a trade.
Yeah.
So But anyways, I wouldn't mind. I mean, look, if they said we'll give you Devontae Adams for a 6th round pick, then hell yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But will they do that? No. I mean, Mark Davis. I mean, what is he? Is he their GM? Who's their GM?
Yeah, it's Mark Davis. Yep.
So he's worried about getting a hairstyle first, but he has that freaking Lego haircut.
We can send him some Baltimore barbers over there. But I did want to mention Chase Young is also on this list. And
Okay.
he hasn't been, that impressive with Washington, but I feel like the Ravens defensive coaches could get, a lot out of him. So
Oh yeah, especially Mike McDonald. Heck yeah.
yeah, so maybe this is a, a low risk, high reward, type of acquisition, from the Commanders we could get Chase
Right.
Young. So
Exactly.
I'll add that as the fifth player, on my
Mhm.
list of players I hope, we look into.
Okay, so I think I think we're fine on O line. I think we're fine for receiver. Obviously, fine on tight end. We could add the D line to add some youth like Chase Young or Daniel Hunter or Burns. Obviously good on linebackers, cornerbacks. I don't know if there's a lot of good ones available. You said Jalen Johnson. Um, I know before the season everyone was thinking the Packers were going to be complete, garbage, and they were like maybe we can get Jair, whatever. Which probably won't happen. We'd probably have to give up a lot for that. But anyways, I kind of want to move on to what do you think we would have to give up for these certain players, and we'll go one by one each player.
Uh, I feel like for Derrick Henry, start with Derrick Henry. I feel like, obviously I feel like they want a draft pick for Derrick Henry. Um, they're really, really thin on receiver. So I feel like, maybe we could be sending somebody like Bateman, over there. You know, uh,
Duvernay.
I feel like they would take Bateman over Duvernay, to be honest. That's just my opinion though. You obviously feel different, but I feel like a draft pick, Bateman, um, maybe somebody like I'm not too sure, but I feel like those two are definites they want to take, just because
Mhm.
they're two the receiving core is their worst position.
So, just want to mention this that the trade that the Titans made earlier today, Kevin Byard, they traded him with the Eagles. They traded him for Terrell Edmonds, a fifth and a sixth. So for Henry, the Titans have been trying to save some money now. Henry's cap hit this year, I believe, is 11 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So that would put us under the cap at the moment. We'd have to, uh, uh, put around some money. So I think that or push money down the line. Really, I think that's more of the restructuring the contracts. But for Henry, I don't think that we should give away a receiver from our receiving core unless it's someone like Duvernay or Wallace, just for the fact that we're not in the position to subtract from that room right now, especially the top three receivers, which are obviously Zay, OBJ, and Bateman. And maybe Aguilar in there too.
Like
You know,
Aguilar.
so I think that those lower receivers like Tyler Wallace or Devin Duvernay should be if you were to trade a receiver. But who knows? They might not want a receiver. So I think maybe a third rounder gets it done. Maybe a second rounder. Maybe they will want a second rounder. Will we do a second rounder for an aging running back though?
I mean, you know how EDC feels about his picks, so that would
Right.
be unlikely. But
It's not like it's a young middle linebacker like Roquan. This is. I feel like if let me look up their ages real quick. Um, how old is Henry? Do you know on the top of your head?
it's probably like 30, 31.
Derrick Henry is 29. He will be 30 in January next
Oh,
year. Let me look up Daniel Hunter. Daniel Hunter is 28. Let me see if he's turning. So he will be turning 29 in actually 5 days. So he's happy early birthday. Brian Burns.
he's like 25.
Brian Burns, 25, you said? Yeah, he's 25. He will be turning 26 next year. So if we were to give up a second round pick, I could see it totally being for Brian Burns. Like, because young pass rusher, who Mike McDonald might want to use, like he might want that star-studded pass rusher, a guy. We already lead the league in sacks. Imagine if we had like an all-pro, Pro Bowl pass rusher back there.
Yeah.
Like Brian Burns, So what if we get Brian Burns and Danielle Hunter?
Yeah.
you know. Do you know if Danielle Hunter? I'm sorry, if Brian Burns is an interior lineman or an edge rusher, defensive lineman. I meant.
I think he's edge. Brian
Right.
Burns.
So that would definitely help our edge because I think your main guys in the edge would be Away and Burns, and then you could substitute Clowney and Van Noy, Bowser if he ever gets back. And then Ajabo out there. You're just adding more depth to an already thin room. So, in my opinion, I know we switched from Henry to Burns, but if you are going to give up your second rounder or even possibly the very rare scenario of first rounder, it would have to be for Brian Burns, in my opinion. That's my opinion.
And I kind of just want to touch back on Derrick Henry a little bit. I feel like the Ravens, really have no. I feel like they don't mind, getting a running back that's maybe in, the late, 20s. I mean, we've seen it before with Mark Ingram. I don't even think he was 20 years old when we got him. They did it before Williams.
Mm.
Did it before, they've done it in the past quite a few times. And so, I feel like, they wouldn't mind, getting Derrick Henry for, not giving up too much, critical things, but I really feel like if we could get a player to restructure their contract, a player like Ronnie Stanley, who hasn't been on the field a lot, if he would be willing to do that, in my
Marcus.
opinion, yeah, Marcus or maybe even
Marlowe.
Yeah. I feel like, that could definitely be possible. And I feel like, honestly, I feel like these guys should be. I'm not one to tell another man what to do with his money, but if you really want your team to win the Super Bowl and really want to be unselfish and really want to, take accountability and reflect on yourself and what you've done these past couple of years, some of these guys haven't really played up to their contracts. Especially a guy like Stanley. And I feel like as an NFL person and as a team player, you got to look at yourself and be like, okay, what can I do to help out this team in my absence, these past couple of years? And this is a start. So I feel like, Derrick Henry, we really try, we really get people, invested in it. And even Brian Burns, I feel like it definitely is feasible to happen.
Right, exactly. And then we got to watch out for other teams like, the Bills, for example, can't run the football to save their lives. If you get Derrick Henry back there, that might boost their Super Bowl odds back up because, I mean, the Bills may have peaked in 2021.
Yep.
Like they haven't really been the same since that divisional game. Obviously they went 13-3 last year, but they got put out in the first round. So or no, sorry, they got put out in the second round, but they almost got put out in the first round versus the Dolphins, a team that was injured to hell. So in my opinion, that's probably one of our biggest threats if they have the cap space for them. So I really feel like offensively we're running back away maybe from being an elite offense and an elite pass rusher away from being an even better defense.
Yeah.
Like this team is very well constructed. I'm just saying that now. This team is very well constructed. EDC, we give him crap the past few years just because really the Lamar situation, but he's really built a winning team, a contending team. It's just really how far is John and the rest of them going to take him, So, anyways, what other players on there do you think you have to give up? Again, what do you think you have to give up for them? And what do you think you think? I look, the way I see it, Chase Young, you can probably get for like a third or fourth rounder.
Yeah, I feel like his stock right now is low, and like I said, it's a low risk, high reward type thing for Chase Young. I don't feel like you give up too much for them.
Right.
Obviously a draft pick, the third or fourth round. Maybe throwing a player that we don't really use like that.
Right.
And let the Ravens coaches, pick his brain and get him back up there. But
right.
I honestly feel like that's one of the more, that could actually really happen. Like and that rumor's been floating around for a couple of years now, Chase Young to the Ravens. So
yep.
I feel like that could happen.
Most definitely.
I feel like Jalen Johnson, same thing with Chase Young. I don't feel like we have to give up too much for him, and he's a
Right.
piece in a secondary cornerback position.
That's another like fourth, fifth rounder, maybe.
Yeah, Jalen, yeah, from the
Maybe
Bears.
even sixth rounder. Because if Kevin Byard goes for a 6th round pick, who knows what he might go for?
Yeah, same thing for Daniil Hunter. He can go for a 6 row pick maybe.
The thing about Daniil Hunter is that his stock might be just higher just because of the fact that they might be contending or trying to contend this year. They're at sitting at 3-4. Like I said, they have very, very easy games coming up between like the Packers, Saints, Raiders, Bears, a whole bunch of those teams, terrible teams. And yeah, I mean, that might be the one that he might have to cross off. If the Vikings lost tonight and they were because we got to remember next week is the trade deadline next week.
Yeah,
So it isn't it isn't coming up like in 3 weeks or in a month. This isn't like baseball where it's most of the year and then you have the trade deadline. No, it's right here. And it's coming up. So next Tuesday and look, I think there's a possibility we make no moves.
yeah,
Now, would I like that? Not really, just because I feel like we could add on their pass rusher, but Brian Burns would be the prize ticket for me. That is the guy, and Henry, I guess, too. But Hunter, usually the Ravens only make one trade. If it's a big trade, they only make one big trade. They're not gonna go out and get 3 or 4 or 5 players, like certain teams are gonna do. Like
yeah,
if we get Burns, we could probably cross everybody else off the list. They're not gonna go in for it. They might try and they might call other teams to do that, like make call Tennessee, see what Henry's doing, how much he's gonna go for.
yeah,
But honestly, I wouldn't give the Titans a 2nd round pick for Henry. I really wouldn't.
yeah. And
I anything third or above, I'm fine with. But I don't know what picks we have this year. We probably should look that up.
yeah,
Because but if we have a 2nd round pick, I'd use that. I'd use that on Burns. I'm sorry, I'd have to. I'd
yeah.
have to.
Yeah, yeah, and to stay on kind of the topic of running backs, I'm looking right here on PFF.com. They have us getting Dalvin Cook trade
Oh yeah,
deadline,
that too. I forgot that too.
which is
Mm.
interesting. It's interesting. It would be pretty interesting to see Dalvin Cook with Lamar. It says that our running backs ranked 20th in rushing grade and tied for 21st in missed tackles force. So and that would be pretty interesting to see Dalvin Cook. He hasn't really gotten any touches with Brees
Brees
Hall,
Hall.
Brees Hall going crazy back there. So, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'm feeling Dalvin Cook. I'm feeling more like Henry or whatever. But I'm pretty sure we can make Dalvin Cook work.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook is a good receiving back too, so that would help out our offense in the screen game maybe as well. So maybe I'm feeling a little bit more, and I convince myself. I convince myself a little bit.
And
Who else?
uh how would you feel about a guy like, hypothetically, how would you feel about what's his name? How could you see that Bears cornerback that I was talking about, Jalen Johnson? How could you see him in our secondary if we were to get him? Like how could you see his role be like?
Well, it depends because does he play slot or is he like an outside corner?
He might be a slot.
Because like who's playing the slot at the moment? Is it Rock
Yeah,
or
it
is
is.
it
It is.
Stevens?
I think it's Stevens. I think it's Stevens.
Because I think Stevens has done a great job, but you know, I don't know. The thing about cornerback is just kind of confusing because, like, we have Ronald Darby out there, and I don't know if he played last week, but and then Rock Yacine, and like we don't have like a premier guy, but maybe Jalen Johnson could be a good cornerback too, and you could leave Stevens in the slot if he's the one in the slot.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey were, before Marcus got hurt. So is Jalen Johnson like a big ball hawk? Because honestly, I think we need to go after a cornerback who's a ball hawk to create turnovers is huge.
Well, I'm looking at his full career stats right now. He has 3 career interceptions, so
Yeah, so he's not really a ball hawk.
not
So
really.
I want to see something. We're like doing everything on the fly here. You probably should have been a little bit more prepared for this, but trying Trying to see interceptions. So Geno Stones obviously leads the league in interceptions. Let me see. What quarterbacks are good? Kendall Fuller has let me see, 2 picks this year. He's 9th in the league in picks. And the Commanders aren't doing that great.
Yeah.
Trying to see who else. Jalen Johnson, I don't think he has 2 picks this year, actually. He's 9th. So he has 3 career picks, but he's 2 this year. So maybe he is an up and coming ball hawk. You never know.
Yeah. And I just want to say right now, I actually see from CBS Sports, I actually see a trade proposal. It has Ravens acquire Brian Burns, and it said Ravens would get Brian Burns and Panthers would get 2024 first round pick and a 2024 third round pick.
That'd work. I mean, I don't see why that couldn't work. Now, I don't know how EDC feels about that, but look, I'd love that. If we're gonna lose a first round pick, let it be because we're going to win the Super Bowl, not because we're gonna be goofing around. No, because we're going to win it all. Yeah. Because if we get and then like Brian Burns or Chase Young or Daniel Hunter, one of them, because who knows what their mentality might be on a winning team, on a Super Bowl contending team.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I dropped something, but yeah, maybe their mentality will be even better. Obviously, certain pass rushers we traded for, like Yannick, didn't work out. That didn't work out for us. We were really happy about that, but it really didn't work out for us.
Yep.
So I don't think we should use the past experience to really judge that. And I think we should go out and get Brian Burns, in my opinion. That's who I want us to get. That's really all, like, for me. And then maybe Henry as well. But if we had to choose one, I'm going for Brian Burns.
Yep. And that would be a great trade in my eyes. I hope EDC is looking at it right now and on the phone.
Watch our video, man, and freaking get Brian Burns. I want to see this team rise up and win a freaking Lombardi this year.
Yeah.
But what is it all we got today for this trade deadline video?
I mean, it's you were right. We probably should have been a little bit, at least having notes down and lists down.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of players that could be dealt. There's every list is different. When you look up PFF, CBS, every list is different, and there's a lot of possibilities that can happen. We could get Brian Burns, we could get Chase Young, we could get Daniil Hunter, we could get Derek.
Right.
There's a lot of things that could happen, but hopefully, hopefully we really, lock in on what's best for the Baltimore Ravens. And I feel like, the defense could use a little bit more help, getting Burns. So, that's all, we might add a community tab, if we have any more information, but, I feel like, we pretty much covered, everything,
yeah. I meant to ask before we wrap this video up, how do you feel about Ndamukong Suh? He was talking about possibly joining a contending team.
That kind of reminds me of when we added Jason Pierre-Paul to our team. I think that was last year.
Yeah.
That kind of gives me, those type of vibes. Obviously Ndamukong Suh was pretty solid with the Bucks 3 years ago, but that was 3 years ago. So, could he, match the same production? I don't know, but I feel like that would be a good depth piece signing.
He's good. I think he's a good run stopper as well. So 37 though. He's 37.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yep.
Right. So you finish it out.
Yeah, there's more to add, but okay, but that's all we got for you guys today. Just a quick, trade deadline video. Hopefully one of these things will happen. But we're birds of prey. Make sure to check out our social medias, our Twitter, our TikTok. And like I said, we might add something to the community page. And also make sure to check out our second channel, Casual Cinema. We will be adding things there soon. It makes Jared laugh, but we're gonna be adding things there soon. He wanted to see Five Nights at Freddy's, get his little kid on. I'm just playing, but
what the hell is that supposed to mean?
We're gonna be adding to there soon, so make sure you guys check out that channel. And looking forward to the Ravens game next week. We're gonna be grinding. So we're your host, TJ and Jared. We're Birds of Prey. We're out.
We're out.